hold of the cloud team later in the presentation. A couple of announcements, or thank yous I should say, for those that attended Channel Link on last week. Thank you guys so much for making the journey down to Dallas. We really appreciate everyone who attended, and we will definitely keep you informed of all the upcoming events that Tech Data will be participating in. We have one that is a little ways off. It's going to be our Tech Data Cloud Summit. It's not until November 16th through the 18th, but we are wanting to start spreading the word and letting as many people know as we can. Last year we had 2 cloud summits. This year we're only doing 1, and the idea behind that is to, get more resellers, more partners together at one time. So again, that's November 16th through the 18th. You can mark your calendars and begin to make preparations to come. The location is still to be determined. There are a couple of nice places that are in the running, so we will definitely let you know once the location has been decided. Again, that's in November. And also, you are actually in the midst of our Tech Data Cloud webinar series. We have more webinars that are going to be coming your way. Last week we had NetIQ, and the week before that we had Ring Central. If you were not able to be on those webinars and you want a recording, please just make a request in the chat feature. Should be on the left-hand side of the WebEx that you're looking at now. Please send a chat to Stream 1 if you need a recording of the NetIQ webinar or the Ring Central webinar. Today we have LabTech, and we're going to kick off with LabTech in just a moment. But on next week we will have Oracle. They will be talking about their cloud platform as a service and how you can help enterprise IT and independent software vendors. And then after Oracle, we will have ConnectWise, which is LabTech's partner in crime, so to speak. So some very good webinars coming up. And again, if there's a webinar that you missed and you would like a recording of it, please let us know. So with that being said, I'm going to quickly introduce our presenter for today. His name is Mike Hudson. He is a Channel Enablement Manager with LabTech. And Mike has been in the IT industry over 30 years. 20 of those years he spent as a reseller, and over 10 years enabling channel enterprise. I'm sorry, actually in the channel enterprise space with software and empowering and enabling partners like yourself. And over the next 30 minutes, Mike is going to be telling you guys how you can turn your break-fix organization or that break-fix model into managed services. So with no further ado, I'll bring in Mike Hudson, and Mike, you can take it away.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Tyreek, and welcome, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. As mentioned, I'm with LabTech Software. I'm the Channel Enablement Manager here at LabTech, and what I'd like to do is just take you through a little journey, talk a little bit about what the break-fix model is. Many of you may either be pure break-fix or you might be a hybrid today, and how those organizations and how LabTech and our sister company, ConnectWise, has taken people from this break-fix model into a managed services approach.
And
so
Mike,
with that, yes.
I'm sorry, Mike, real quick before you dive into the presentation, my apologies for interrupting, but to all of the partners that are on the line, as Mike is going through the presentation, please send your questions to us through the chat feature. type up the questions and just send them to Stream 1, and Mike will make sure all the questions get answered before the presentation is over. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. That's great. Thank you for bringing that up because all their lines are mute. So I was gonna mention that. So questions will be as instructed. You know, you type them in. All the lines are on mute, so you won't be able to communicate with us until we open the lines up at the question and answer period. With that, let me just give you a quick idea. We'll take a look at here we go. Take a look at the agenda. Very simple. It's going to be very quick. We're going to go through, you know, what some of the business challenges are. What are some of the trends that are driving changes within the models? Why would you consider or want to change from your current model to a different model? Some things you need to think about when you're moving from a break-fix to or a hybrid model into a managed services model. And then I'll give you a brief demonstration, very high level, of a demonstration of LabTech Software. It's a remote management tool that's one of the critical tools you need in a managed services type business. And then we'll do some Q&A. So first off, in most practical implementations of a break-fix business, the revenue that's generated is typically reactive, meaning you're reacting to a customer's call, they're requesting services from you, and you are responding to those services and billing them for that effort. In that model, you're either charging that customer for a fixed time that you're out there, or it could be by an issue, like doing an install or setting up a printer or making a repair. It may be a flat fee that you might have arranged. In a hybrid model, sometimes what we see in organizations that have grown from a services type organization, that they might have blocks of time or they might have service contracts in place. And that's sort of a hybrid in the sense that there is revenue that is generated up on the front end, and you're managing the accounting of that revenue on the back end. Things that are challenges around this type of model is customers and the types of requests that are being made to you. There's constant, always, can you get here faster? You know, how fast can you respond? There could be demands on, you know, the resolution as far as, you know, I need stuff fixed quicker, things like that. So those tend to cause cost increases in your own organization if you have to add people or other types of resources in order to meet the demand of your customers. And in a lot of cases in a break-fix model, it relies on something actually going wrong. So you're responding to something that's happening because it's either down or a piece of software has maybe failed in some fashion, but you're not on a proactive, you're more on a reactive type approach with your customer. Another element that's got an impact on a break-fix organization is that virtualization and SaaS and improvements in hardware and software have had an impact. So when a data center, when one of your clients starts using virtualization, as you all know, a lot of times what will happen is their actual physical hardware may reduce. They may need less servers because they've actually virtualized their applications or virtualized their server operations. From a client perspective, what's driving a trend to people moving into managed services is that the client's business needs are constantly evolving and they're changing at a faster pace. No longer are they being asked to maintain no downtime. They're actually being asked to, what is your uptime? You know, the expectation is never to go down. The expectation is how often are you up? So along with that, though, from an internal IT and some of your customers, what they also are experiencing is this flood of consumerism. Bring your own device. So many people now have tablets, iPads, phones, could be net computers. And they're starting to bring those into the work environment, and they're asking the IT department, hey, why can't I use some of my equipment instead of the equipment I've been assigned to? I can be more productive. I can do a lot more on these pieces of equipment. Well, that's great, but it brings some challenges to that internal IT company. Another thing is the Internet of Things. A lot of you may have heard this term or start to see it in the news and learning more about it. It's basically a lot of devices that currently didn't speak in a network now do. All sorts of things. It could be home automation stuff. If you're in a corporation, it could be facilities has devices, lights, cameras, all sorts of different things. They're putting IP addresses and making things wireless to connect into different components of the IT infrastructure. That puts a lot of strain on that client's environment. I mentioned this before, that from a business services, it's now uptime. It's not, is the system down? It's how are you maintaining 9999 reliability within your environment? That's the expectation. So there's always a constant pressure, and a lot of you have already heard this before from your clients, that they have to either maintain their current budget or reduce their IT spending. So they're asked many times to do more or take on more responsibility or support more devices within their environment with less resources, without being able to hire anybody and without being able to upgrade in any way. So from a partner perspective, from a reseller like yourself, why would you want to change what you're currently doing? If you're just doing break fix or you're doing a hybrid model, as I mentioned before, where you might be selling service contracts or blocks of time or supplying engineers, technicians on a scheduled basis, that's all sort of sending people out of the office and conducting work on site with that customer. So here are some of the things that we see our successful managed service providers comment back on. One of the things is that many clients are seeking this trusted IT service relationship, meaning instead of you just being called upon when something is failed or wrong within their environment to go fix it, in a managed service role, you're more engaged, you're more working with that client because you're trying to ensure this uptime that they're trying to achieve. You're trying to also maintain a level of quality within inside their environment. So you end up becoming more of a trusted advisor to your client. Another reason that you might consider a change to this model or introduce components of it is it has an ability to increase your sales, reduce your selling time, and you also can create some repeatable service offerings or functionalities that you then can repurpose and sell to another client that may want you to do some managed services for them. So you have the ability to grow your business without really adding additional headcount to do so, because these are already services that you developed, and you're just now making that service available for another client. It also leads to better utilization of your staff. If your staff is able to do similar work or maintain customers' environments without ever having to leave the office, do it remotely from either your office or from a facility, that's a lot more time they're available where you don't have travel time going on. They're not locked into a customer environment. What they're doing then is they're more on a proactive stage, sitting back, looking at the environment, making updates or changes, improving that organization actually before any failures come about. So in a sense, you could actually take individuals within your organization that maybe have certain expertise, maybe in security or in backup is another area. They can manage backup environments, where those individuals then can be used more across more clients, so the utilization goes up. And one of the biggest important points here is that if you introduce these types of managed services components within inside of your organization, and you execute a plan that allows you to make the transition, what happens is you get very satisfied customers that recommend your services, and it can be very profitable for you as a reseller. So, in looking at some of this, here's some examples of things that you might need to consider or things that you need to have in order to start considering or looking at a managed services model. In our opinion, and based on the 4,600 resellers today that use our product to manage other customers, we feel first off is that you really need a management tool in place, a remote management monitoring tool that allows you to take a look at the network, allows you to assess all the devices within inside that environment so that you can be able to help that customer manage that environment more proactively. And what I mean more proactively is the ability to look at an Exchange server and have a monitor come up and say, mailbox capacity is starting to get at the critical level. An alert comes up on that. You can then take a reactive approach to that monitor and be able to repair something, either trimming back usage inside of mailboxes, purging information within the Exchange server. It could even be adding additional capacity within that Exchange server. Maybe you are putting a hard drive in or doing some other things, but you can dispatch a check to do that all within inside of the software before an actual problem occurs, which I think is very important. The other component is once you start using a remote management tool like this, is to have something in your business that allows you to manage your customers, and that would be a professional service automation, PSA, that's used in the industry, or what you hear a lot now too is Business Management Platform is another acronym. It's a BMP, and basically that's a platform to allow you to manage customers in a service environment, and that entails billing them on a regular basis, collections, project management, like if you're doing help desk and doing tickets, to be able to manage those tickets. Are they open? Are they closed? Have you billed for those services against their contract? Those kind of things to do the back-end business part of a managed service environment. And one of the things that LabTech offers is that we are associated and wholly owned by a company called ConnectWise, and ConnectWise is one of the leading PSA tools in the industry. There's hundreds of thousands of users in the ConnectWise environment today. Also, as you're looking at a managed services model, the first thing is to determine is what unique skills or what expertise do you have inside your organization that could be used to provide some sort of managed services offering. Now, I mentioned before, that could be you may have engineers or technical people who have certain skill sets. Maybe they are a VMware virtualization or Citrix, or they could be in security. Maybe they have semantic or a McAfee type level of certification where they have actual areas that are unique in some ways, and that your customer is already using those types of services in a break fix, but you can leverage those more easily into the managed services rather than having to create new service offerings that you don't have resources to deliver those offerings. Then you put yourself in a situation where you have a heavy cost burden to get into the managed service model. The most successful organizations that we work with have, from a break fix to a managed services, has eased themselves into this area of managed services, and in doing so, a lot of them have migrated completely out of actual break fix, and sometimes they will subcontract that work out rather than do it themselves. So it is a different type of services model that is worth considering in your business, and it is a growing service model. There's more and more organizations that are looking towards companies to manage their environments because they're just overwhelmed. Also, if you haven't already done this, you probably already have, depending on the size of your company, survey your staff, look for things that they do currently today that may be repetitive. It could be patching servers, or could be updating jobs. Say, like if your customer's calling you because the backup didn't take off the night before, so someone has to log into their system or drive out to their environment, look at their backup situation, and either reconfigure a job or relaunch a service that may have failed. Those are the kind of things that you can actually stick inside and automate in a remote management tool that can be totally automatic and would be part of your service to that customer. So if you're managing their backup environment to make sure that all their files were maintained and that the backups are up to date and that services are running, the LabTech remote management tool can actually script some of those repairs. So basically, if it sees a service based on a monitor, the monitoring different services, sees a service go down, a script can actually launch and try to restart that service without any intervention from you. Also, as you're looking at a managed services model and trying to make a determination on what best area for you to enter into, do some research. Look at some of the service organization trends. Look at what your local competition may be doing. If you have a managed service provider in your local area, check out their website. They may be doing business with a past customer of yours, or they may be currently trying to do business with some of your customers from a managed services. Just find out what's going on, what may be working with inside of your local area, because that could guide you better on how you want to enter the market. You know, if someone has more skills or larger staff in a particular area, you might want to enter managed services in a different area, or you may want to compete directly. It's all up to you on how you want to approach it. So with that being said, what I wanted to do is go into just a quick demo and show you how the LabTech remote management tool can aid your business in a managed service environment, and how it can actually help you generate revenue and make it available so that your customer is achieving a more secure and a more uptime in their environment. So I'm going to switch my screen out here, and Tariq, tell me if you're able to see that screen of the LabTech software.
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
We can see it.
Fantastic. All right, so this is the welcome screen. I'm gonna go into what you normally see first. There's some navigation. So just a little bit of background before we dive into some of the features of the tool. Right now, this is the LabTech software, remote managing monitoring software, is about 10 years old. It was developed by engineers for engineers. So what's very unique about that is that they built a system that was very reactive to how people normally do their business or do their job role in that environment. Rather than having different dashboards and other types of things that you might see typically in some monitoring systems, this system is very much integral to the actual environment. So one of the first things that happens with our particular platform is that we dispatch an agent. We put that agent onto servers and desktops. It's a very powerful agent. It collects a lot of information and supplies that information back up into our database. With that, we're able to do a lot of different things. So an example I was talking about before with Exchange or a mail server, we've actually developed a bunch of tools and monitors that come with the system that you can install on devices to do a whole array of information can come from those monitors. And that system is called Ignite. And what happens is once you get the agent back and you identify that you have an Exchange server, or you have a file server, or you have other types of components within your network, Ignite has a standard list of these monitors that you can drop onto so that you don't have to build them manually. So they all come prepackaged in the software. Microsoft SQL is another example. We can drop those agents, we can drop that Ignite on there, and it will actually start reporting back to you different types of information about that system. But typically, most engineers and how people use the software from an administrative standpoint is they work within this navigation tree. Now, once you've installed the agents, what I'm looking at here is this is the LabTech Control Center. So this is a piece of software that sits on your laptop or desktop in the office and allows you to attach back to the LabTech agents and gather that information. So one thing I'm going to show you as I go through sort of the navigation tree here is I'm going to take a look at the clients. And let me close this up here real quick just so I sort of walk through it step by step. So under the Client tab, as I open that up, you see that I have 4 companies listed. These companies are separated by domains so that anybody, I can give access for an engineer or even the customer to look at their own domain and all the information within their own entity, but I can shield it from these other companies. So with this piece of software being very powerful is that you can have one control center and be able to look at multiple companies at the same time without those companies interacting or any of their data being shared among each other. It's very important if you're working with certain types of organizations, financial, healthcare, things like that, where data is very sensitive and they want to make sure that there's no sort of like data bleed between the different entities. Another thing you'll see on this screen is groups. So in groups, I can either work on clients one entity at a time, or I also can group information or applications inside and across these clients. So if I have, for example, if I have all 4 of these clients running the same antivirus management software and I want to send out a patch or I want to do an update or do things, I can actually do it across multiple machines, multiple devices, or across multiple customers. And you may have to, depending on how you have it configured, you may have to have a separate script for each one of those entities for the companies, but not for the devices within inside their environment. So let me close this real quick, and I'm going to walk you across the top of our toolbar here just to give you a brief idea and show you just a few examples of how you might use our software in a managed service environment to help manage your customers and provide the services. So one thing is here under Antivirus Dashboard. I want to show you this because you don't have to have just one particular antivirus software. We can talk to an array of different antivirus companies. So your customer, one customer could be running McAfee, another customer could be running Symantec. We can still determine whether that software is operating correctly on those desktops and servers, whether or not there's any quarantine files or any other malware that's in the environment. We can see those kind of things. But this is a dashboard that takes a view inside of that antivirus solution for all the customers that you're working with. Notice my client tab is visible here, and I actually can go in and I can drill into just a particular customer's environment by selecting it, and now I'm only looking at Brown Accounting in the main office. I'm looking at only their antivirus solution, not everybody else's. Now this is, we are reading information from the desktop and the server, and we're reading information from these particular applications. But we are not the replacement tool for the console of that particular application. Some companies have tried being the console of all consoles, I guess is what you would refer to. And what happens in that type of situation is sometimes very difficult as a software vendor to maintain integrity with those applications because their consoles might be changing or they may be very complex. So what we provide you in our screen is a very detailed but subset of the information that might be in an antivirus console. So there's nothing here, if you had launched WebRoot's console, there's nothing here that's not in the WebRoot console. But what the WebRoot console might have is the ability to change policies, the ability to do other things, maybe they may have an uninstall capability, those kind of things that are built into their console. We don't run those in our console. What we're doing is we're reporting back on the health and the reliability and integrity of this particular device. And we can do a lot of things with this information. We actually can launch a script and make sure that the service is running or tell it to rescan based on different actions that our monitors pop up on. So that's Antivirus, for example. Here's also Backup Manager, just to give you an idea. So here we're looking at where backup software is installed, how many machines have it installed, you know, very much what a typical administrator would need to know about their backup solution. Did it run? Did it run successfully? When's the last time it backed up? Was there any errors? And based on that information, we actually can make some judgments and we can do some different things depending on what we see happening with inside the environment. Now, for an example, if we are looking at a particular client and I'm going to drill into one of these clients down here, and I'll take a look at the LabTech Software domain, and I see that there's an admin server here. If I click on this admin server by double-clicking it, what I'll do is I'll bring up all the information that I'm collecting off of that agent. So as you'll see here, I have very detailed information about what kind of hardware is involved, you know, what kind of processor is there. I have the serial number of the machine in this information. I have all sorts of things, how many slots are in it, what cards are in those slots. Anything you'd want to know about this particular computer or server, I have that information in there. I know whether it's running a backup program, but I also have different monitors, and this is part of the Ignite system, I actually can put on here, and I can detect things based on certain thresholds. So I can look at memory. You know, are we getting, you know, close to the maximum memory within the machine? Are there applications or other things going on in this machine that are causing that type of environment? Disk space, memory, as I mentioned, processor. I can see the health of what's going on with this particular device, and I'm doing it remotely. I'm not sitting at this client logged into this server. I'm actually sitting at your office or someplace remote, and I'm reading this information off of this particular device. So the one thing, and I'll go back here to the welcome screen, the one thing I didn't mention, I should, is if I go back out here, and I've been looking at desktops and servers, I also can see inside the different environment their actual network. So the devices or components that I'm not able to install an agent on, I can actually run a network probe, and I can look at each one of those IP addresses, and I have a database that comes back and tells me, is this a printer? Is this a router? Is it a switch? And any device that reports back in SNMP, I can identify in most cases and tell you what devices are there. This is very useful because what it allows you to do is get a very detailed inventory of what the customer's environment is. And you'd be surprised. There's many times when this information is shared with a client and you're showing them information and reporting from our software. Said, I don't think I have any HP LaserJets, that model, in my environment anymore. You say, well, I'm detecting about 3 of them. You know, you actually have some information. Also, you might have different servers that were put up at one time to do a particular function, and now they've been repurposed, but they didn't take down some services or some applications that was running on that. Maybe it was a backup server at one, backup domain controller, and now it's being used as a backup server, or it was a print server at one time, and now it's being used for something else. We'll actually be able to tell you what software is actually installed in that system as well, and then you can make adjustments. You can actually deinstall software from here. You can reinstall software here, offer patching, those kind of things. So that's in the network. I'm going to go back to the server itself, and I'm going to go over to the right-hand side here and sort of scroll through all the things that you have now collected about this server. So you see it's very detailed. You have a lot of information about what's going on with this particular device. But if there's something that's going on with this particular server and I need to actually log into the server and remote control, we now have a remote control software company that we just recently purchased called ScreenConnect. Prior to that, we could speak to that server using LabDNC, which was our version of remote control software VNC that we had modified for our application. We also could use redirectors to get to that, as well as other remote control software like TeamViewer. The reason we now have ScreenConnect integrated into LabTech 10, and we went out and purchased this company, is that through an integration project that we were doing with them, we became very familiar with their software and the performance and the capabilities of their software, and it was a nice union between us and them. So we got together and we actually purchased the company here in February. So ScreenConnect is now part of our remote control software. It's actually built into our LabTech 10. So I'm going to double click on ScreenConnect. I'm going to remote control into this particular server. And just so you have an idea of what's going on here, I'm sitting in Tampa, Florida, where our headquarters is. I'm attached with my LabTech 10 control center to a demonstration server that's actually in a SaaS environment up in the cloud. So I'm actually communicating back and forth through the network. So when I double click on ScreenConnect, just to give you an idea of performance, it only takes a few seconds and we are there. Now we're sitting on top of this server, and we actually can do commands as if we were standing, or as if we were sitting there with this particular device. Now, ScreenConnect has its own set of control center here, or tools that allows you to do things with inside the remote control. We can send commands if we need to do a Control-Alt-Delete, if we need to share our desktop. Typical things you would see in a lot of remote control software. But some unique things that we are really pleased to have with inside of our integration with ScreenConnect is the ability to use this toolbox feature. So if you have a ScreenConnect server in your environment, or if you're using your LabTech server as your ScreenConnect server, you actually can have a partition place on that server where you may have some common tools. Could be an anti-spyware, could be an anti-malware cleaner, things like that. And if you got onto a server and you said, oh, you know what I need to do? I need to run this, or I need to use this tool in order to see what's going on. I can actually open up my toolbox and I can drag that tool directly to the desktop, and it will install that software onto that server through ScreenConnect. So I didn't have to map a drive. I didn't have to do a file transfer. I didn't have to run a login script. I didn't have to do anything else. All I had to, or an installation script, all I had to do was just drag it over, drag and drop, and it installs. Very helpful, very fast. It allows your technical folks and engineers to be able to do their work very quickly. I also, give me a second here. I've got a question that came in, but I'm going to, there we go. Also can do screen capture. So this is a really nice tool, is that an engineer could be working on a system and say, you know what, I'm going to record my actions that I'm doing on this server or desktop, and I'm going to store that. You can actually store that file. It's a recorded file. You can have audio on it. It can just be a visual of you moving around the screen, and you can store that for training purposes or for validation back to your customer. Hey, this is the kind of things that I've been doing for you, and here I'm going to show you how I fixed a particular issue on your system, and here's the recording of it. It's a really great tool to be able to have at your built into the LabTech software. If I'm working with a client and we're chatting through the chat feature and we're not sort of getting on the same page, I can actually go into ScreenConnect and I can open up their microphone and my speaker system, and I can communicate through them through ScreenConnect using audio. So I can talk to them and say, oh, okay, what I need you to do is I need you to back out of this application and let me do the controls. You can do things like that and actually speak with the client. We did talk about the chat feature. I can, as training purposes or even working with the client, if this was a desktop or even if it was a server, but let's use a desktop as an example, and I'm working on something and I want to draw attention to it, I can actually use the antidote feature and I can draw on their screen and show them things. As soon as I disconnect, it's all gone. Nothing stays on their screen. Now, that's the basic ScreenConnect tool. It's built into LabTech, and we provide it at free of charge in remote control inside of our software. There's also a premium ScreenConnect option that you can purchase that allow you to do what we call ad hoc meetings. An example would be a customer has a desktop, but they're not part of your managed services, and you don't have a LabTech agent on them. You actually can send them a link, and they can click on that link, and you can open up a remote control session with them. You might be able to use a product like that to ease in or start your managed services offerings. Okay, what I'm going to do is close that. I'm going to take a quick look at my time. I'm at 2:42, and I'm going to just do a quick check here with Tyreek, and how are we doing on questions and time? Do I have a few more minutes, or would you like to wrap up quickly here and move to questions?
You're doing pretty good on time, Mike. We usually don't get into questions until 2:45, around the quarter till mark. And
okay.
You got about 2 more minutes, so you're doing great.
Okay, fantastic. And I'll cover just a few features. Again, this is a high-level demonstration of our software. If you want to have one of our system engineers give you a very detailed demonstration of the software, answer a little bit more questions maybe around configurations or how you would set up in your environment, you can get access to those individuals through your Tech Data Cloud representatives, which we'll cover here later in the presentation. We'll actually show you a territory map of who would be your rep in the particular area. So I'm going to close this session right here and give you just a high level but a quick idea of some of the power behind the LabTech software. So one of the items we have inside of our software is we have the ability to script actions and script resolutions. So it's a very powerful scripting engine. In LabTech 10, we added a debugger tool so that you actually can debug some of these scripts as you go along as well. We provide quite a few scripts inside the system. If there's other things that you want to do at a client that's repetitive, maybe it's install a custom piece of software that client uses, so when a new employee starts, they need to have this application. You actually can create a script for that, and when that device comes online, you could send the script out manually, or you could set up some sort of auto-discovery for a new computer to identify if it's a Windows 7 or Windows 8 computer and then run the script automatically. So there's many ways that you can use software to take those tasks that are repetitive and make them automated. That's going to save you time, your text time, and make the customer experience very enjoyable. So I'm going to just drill down real quickly and give you an idea of particular scripts that might be in here. Let me just look at some auto fix actions. Those are very good. So if I'm monitoring a system and the system I detect is hung or an application is not responding, I might do something like restart a particular service. So if I just click on this auto fix action script, I want to give you just a quick idea of how easy it is to write a script inside of our software. You don't have to be a programmer. You just have to know the actions that are needed to be taken with either an event, or if you're running an install script, what things you need to do. And then you can write these scripts in very native, natural language. Not native language. You write it in natural language. You don't have to sit back and learn certain command sets and all sorts of things. Now, there is the ability to streamline scripting and combine commands and do some other things that you might, learn how to do at a higher level, or you might have someone on staff that has more experience in that. We also teach scripting classes if you actually want to get that involved. But for the most part, anything you would most commonly do is going to be included in the software, and you see we have scripts for a lot of different things, a lot of different software that's already out here, anti-malware type software, you know, backup and recovery products, you know, different types of maintenance, hard disk cleanup. We've already got this stuff script, so it comes preloaded with a lot of scripts. But if there's a script you don't, that is not included here, but you're looking for, you can actually go out and Google LabTech scripts, and what you might hit is some third-party associations. They're not directly owned or monitored by LabTech, but there is a LabTech forum called LabTech Geek that has an association of a lot of people who use our software, and you might find a script there. Now, I will preface this with caution that the only scripts that our support team here at LabTech supports are the scripts that are included in the software or the ones that are posted and available from our website. When you use a script from a third party or from a community, you just have to be careful about what you're doing and making sure that it may not cause any other situation within your environment. So those scripts have not been ran through our certification, but they are available, and I know many, many companies share those types of things between each other. Very good. So we're at 2:48. Before I start another topic, Tyreek, can I just wrap this piece up and then we will look at questions?
Absolutely. So the questions actually have been pouring in, and for the sake of time, we're going to try to get to everyone's question. If we do not get to your question, we will definitely shoot you an email, or if you have time, you can stay on the line. The webinar is scheduled to end at 3, but if you don't have time, if you do have time to stay over after 3, Mike and I will be available for a few moments after 3, and we'll definitely try to get to your question. Mike, thanks so much for the presentation. I think this was very thorough, very educational, and we're going to go ahead and get to the first question here. It says, how many monitors come with Ignite?
Wow. There's well over 500 monitors included into the Ignite software, and it's growing all the time. So as I mentioned, we may have Ignite for Exchange, but there may be different versions of Exchange. We'll have Ignite for SQL. We'll have Ignite operations. Basically, it's best practices built over the years of our software being out in the marketplace. And LabTech, as a company, we operate. The software was, if you recall early in the presentation, we talked about it, software was written by an engineering team for engineers. That MSP, that managed service provider, is still in business and still functions today. It's owned by us, and it operates. So we use the software as well as we sell the software. There was a couple things here. We did have this question slide, but I did want to bring this up, Tyreek, and then we can go into the questions. Absolutely.
So we do have a link that you guys can check out. Again, this is recorded. So if you don't have time to take all this information down, we can get this to you. You see the link there to request a LabTech Demo. And then also LabTech has a fantastic software blog, labtechsoftware.com/blog. You can check that out. And then if you can, Mike, go to the next slide. We were able to actually split up the team into territories. Some of you may have heard me speak on that earlier at the beginning of the call. My name is Tyreek Grooms. I cover the Northeast. We also have Mark Thorson covering the West, Greg Mason, Central, Gary Lowe is covering the Southeast. And so all you got to do is just find your state and reach out to the right person there. Again, the number where you guys can reach us, 1-800-237-8931. The team extension is 87663. and then you have our respective extensions there as well. If anyone would like a copy of this map, you know, it's just a quick PDF. We can shoot that over to you, so that's not a problem as well. Just, again, let us know via the chat feature. We have everyone's lines muted for obvious reasons. We try to cut down on background noise and things of that nature during these webinars. So just give us a quick chat, and we'll be glad to send that over along with the full presentation. And again, I think we did have a couple people request some of the webinars from the previous weeks. If you want this recorded webinar as well, please let us know. We'll be glad to shoot that over along with the webinars from the previous weeks. And with that being said, I think we are going to dive into some questions, unless Mike, you have something else.
No, that's very good. Thank you, Tyreek, and thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your day for us to speak to you about this topic. And one thing I would like to mention as part of our capabilities and our services here at LabTech, we actually have a business success office, which is staffed with individuals who owned or operated managed services businesses prior to them joining us. And those individuals are available through your TDCloud team. You can access them, and they can provide a lot of very useful business information on IT solution providers, how they may price things, how they develop services, how they operate their business, how they use some of these tools. They are free to speak with, and we can set those. They're very much a consultative arm within inside of our company. They're not directly part of our sales team, so they're not there to sell you. They're there to help you with your business, and I think that's a great component within inside of LabTech. Why don't we break into some questions?
All right, that sounds great. So you did answer the question on the monitors with Ignite. The next question that came through, can this software be used for audits for networks, i.e., or for example, can the software pre-qualify someone for managed services?
So we do have a discovery process, as I mentioned, inside the software. I hope I'm addressing this question correctly. So when you talk about audits, there's a couple different elements. If you're talking about a hardware audit, we're going to identify all the hardware that's inside the environment. If you're talking about a software audit, we're going to identify the software that's loaded on the system. So we do have reports that says this has Windows Server 2008 installed on it. This has Microsoft Office installed on it. It will tell you those types of components from a reporting capability. But from an auditing capability, if the customer is under, an example, an ELA, a license agreement with like Microsoft, and says, hey, I have 600 copies of, or too big, let's say I have 100 copies of this Microsoft Office, we can come back and say, well, it looks like you're operating 200, but we don't have a direct link to do that audit with their software license information. You would have to sort of manually put that together, export our information into Excel, use their information, and then do some sort of lookup between the two. But I do know of companies who have used our software to simulate or provide some sort of auditing capability. But I don't want to misrepresent our software. It's not an auditing tool. It's a discovery tool. It will tell you a lot of information, but it doesn't have that component built in to audit against their license. I hope that answers the question. If not, type in your any backup to that or additional information that you want me to address on auditing into the chat screen, and we'll try to address it before the end of the call.
All right, moving right along. This person asks, is the software locally or cloud-based? I guess a better way to put it, is it on-prem or is it cloud-based, Mike?
That's a great question, and I appreciate them asking that. It's something we should have covered in the presentation. I apologize. So the software is both. We can either install on-prem, and we also have a cloud offering. So you have the capability with your customers to install the software, and they can actually put it in their environment and behind their firewalls if that's the way they want to operate it. If they like the cloud option, if they like the cloud option,
next question is, are there additional costs associated with ScreenConnect, the mobile device management, WebRoot, that kind of stuff? Some of the add-ons that come along with LabTech, is the cost already, taken care of? Is all that included, or is it additional cost?
Okay, let me address that. So with LabTech 10, the ScreenConnect remote control software is built in. So the software I showed you today, that remote control software is built in. When I was going through the examples to show you how we interface with other third-party software, like a WebRoot or like a ArcServe backup program, we can, through your Tech Data sales team, we can supply you those software licenses so that you can manage those licenses. But we don't include those backup licenses as part of our software, and we don't charge you to manage those licenses, meaning if you install ArcServe onto a system, it doesn't come up in our environment and says, oh, there's some new components, so there's additional charge. The only charges that we have on our software is for the desktop and the server agents. All other devices that are connected to the network, routers, switches, mobile devices, they are monitored and managed at no additional cost. So the only cost that is associated with LabTech is on desktops and servers.
Okay, and just to add to that, guys that are listening, again, like Mike said, if you guys are interested in WebRoot or Viper or ESET, some of these third-party security or backup solutions that LabTech is offering, feel free to reach out to myself or one of the other Tech Data Cloud agents, and we can definitely, help you guys out in adding that on to your LabTech purchase, should it be a fit for your business.
Yep.
The next question, does this interface go directly to Active Directory of the client?
So with LabTech 10, one of the features we did add to the software is we now incorporated an Active Directory component. So our Active Directory component is not intended to replace all the features of Active Directory. Very much so, same example that I used in the security and the backup software third-party integration. With Active Directory, we're able to read the Active Directory information and populate it into LabTech. So we get all the contact information, the users, everything that's involved. We can do tasks like disable an account. We can reset passwords. We can do what I would call some of the rudimentary Active Directory functions. If you want to go in and redesign your Active Directory or change policies within your Active Directory or manage groups within your Active Directory, those features are still done within the Microsoft environment on the Active Directory server and tools. What we do is we provide monitoring and some basic sharing of information as well as reactive to the Active Directory environment. So we could definitely supply you some more information around that if Active Directory is one of the areas that you wish to investigate further with LabTech. We can provide a lot more detailed information.
All right, we're gonna do one more question, and then again, if there's some additional questions that we didn't get to, Mike and I will stay on the line for about 2 minutes to try to quickly go over a few things. If that's not enough time, please shoot us an email. You can send an email to tdcloud@techdata.com. Also, Mike, if you will, you can put your information back up. I think you had your email on the first slide.
Sure. I was going to show them your email there for the techdata.cloud. There it is.
Sure.
Very easy.
So, yeah, there's the email, the team email, tdcloud@techdata.com. Any additional questions? And then also, Mike is going to put his email up. But the last question real quick, does LabTech come with a help desk feature or some type of help desk support similar to Continuum?
So we sell a piece of software called ConnectWise that's part of our portfolio of software. And I would say more of the help desk features are in that particular software to take a call, to react to a call. Now, what LabTech does is it interfaces and can tie into other types of PSA softwares besides ConnectWise. So if there's particular software that you're using, there's a very good chance that we already provide some methodology for connection. So how that works is, as we mentioned, if I walk you through sort of a logical, I don't have a diagram, so I'm going to explain this. And if you have questions, please type into the question screen the additional information around this question that you're concerned about. LabTech can generate a ticket similar to what you would get on a help desk environment, and we can have that ticket can be managed with inside of LabTech, or it can be sent to a PSA software that can provide a bunch of different information. So this is how it would work. Say I had a monitor that was monitoring a particular desktop, and that desktop, the antivirus software continues to go down, and I keep sending an automated script to it to restart that service, and that goes down. I could have something built within that monitor that says, hey, if this service does not start after 3 tries, generate a ticket. There's something broke. I need to take a look at it. So what it will do is it actually will create a ticket, and that ticket can be viewed within the screen within LabTech from an administrator. So the administrator would get alerted, say, hey, I got a ticket based on this system. Or it could go to an actual help desk software or to a PSA software to be managed and be automated inside of your dispatcher. So your dispatcher would get an alert that says, hey, this system needs attention, and that would either require you to either try to fix it remotely, maybe you can remote control into it and fix that problem, or dispatch a tech and fix the problem on site. I hope that answers the question.
Okay. So again, thanks everyone for taking some time out and joining us for today's webinar. Don't forget, next week the presenting vendor will be Oracle Cloud. So if you guys have any interest in Oracle, please join us again next week, and we'll be glad to have you. Mike, thanks again for your time as well. Any additional questions, we're going to leave the chat feature open a little while longer. So please shoot us some questions to the chat, and we will answer those questions via email. Thanks again to everyone, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye now.